Hello my fiery friends, the Infernoman here with a quick question I want to ask all of you. Do you think it's possible to play a control deck on a budget in a single color? Well, check out this gameplay and you're about to find out. Okay everybody, let's go ahead and check out what we can do here. So we got our Dread Presence on the 4-drop, the 3-drop is the Sedmore Witch, we have a 2-drop Deadly Dispute, an Agonizing Remorse also on the 2-drop, and a single Bloodchief's Thirst. So a decent curve if we can just get to our lands. This is pretty nice. So let's go ahead and throw out our Swamp. I think we could try to Agonizing Remorse here on turn 2, and we'll see what our opponent's game plan is. Nice Wayfinder. That's interesting. That's kind of cute. Let's see what our opponent's trying to do here. Okay. Alright. Well, I honestly think the Fly might be the most annoying thing to deal with, because we don't have any way of defeating Flyers. That Blessing may seem like it's more critical to get rid of, but they don't have anything to drop onto the Pious Wayfinder yet. We do have ways of getting around that anyway with what we have. And thankfully, they don't have any removal, so this actually means that our Sedmore Witch comes in for free. Oh yeah, that's right. Let our little witch do some nasty stuff here coming up. Oh, I can't wait. Okay. Opponent, Silver Raven. That's cute. They do their scry. They go swinging for reasons. You know what? I'll let them have it. I'll let them have it. That pump right there will be annoying to deal with, so I'm gonna let them have that. Ooh, Bastard of Remembrance. Well, now the fun begins. We get to create a human soldier. We're now gonna start going off here. Bloodchief's Thirst. Let's get rid of the Pious Wayfinder. Do they protect it? Do they pump? Of course they don't. Why would they? Alright, we made our cute little pass now, and then we're not going to attack because we still have to deal with that Karametra's Blessing. I guess maybe I should have threw that away first. Oh well. I'm sure it won't come back to bite us. All that glitters. Well, that's annoying. But not the end of the world for us. Ooh, 2 witches. Tough one here. Do we get greedy with 2 witches? I think we need to just go on the offensive now. Let's go down to 15, opponent. Deadly Dispute. Sack our human. We will create a new pest. We then gain a little bit of life. They drain. 2 more. Alright, this is actually fine. Well, I'm going to be greedy here, everybody. We're in decent shape, so I think we can afford this right now. We have a Heartless Act, so this is going to be so evil right now. Elsit. Aww. That's annoying to deal with. Well, maybe we get too greedy here. It's okay. It's okay. We're going to make it. We're going to make it, everybody. So let's see. How do we do this? Dread Presence. We need to get aggressive here with our opponent. I don't think they're going to use that Karametra's Blessing. There's no way they're going to do it. I figured. All right. We will now, let's see. We'll wait. I'm going to wait. What will our opponent do here? Do they protect it? They go swinging. We'll block with a Dread Presence. Do they pump? Here we go. Okay. Now we force them into an awkward spot here. Alright, our witches go off again. They make some more tokens. Ah, yes, we got our opponent. Well then, now that we got a chance to at least see a part of the deck in action, let's actually go over real quick, as you can see on the screen, the deck in whole. The whole game plan for Mono Black Control is we're just going to try to keep the board clean on our opponent's side, so then we can slowly get out our creatures and eventually just go wide and destroy them with our token game plan. So in order to do that, as you can see, what creates our tokens will be Sedmore Witch, which is one of our only creatures in the deck, along with Lolth Spider Queen, and Liliana Dreadhorde General. As you obviously can tell, the Dreadhorde General and the Spider Queen are going to take a little while to actually get up the mana to build that. So in order to control the board, we have a couple other ways of doing this. For removal, you'll have copies of Bloodchief's Thirst, which scales very well in the early, mid, and late game. Otherwise, you'll have 4 copies of Heartless Act, which is mostly your catch-all creature removal. In order to make sure we can draw into what we need, we will have copies of Deadly Dispute. However, we don't have too many artifacts in the deck besides the treasures that we can make, or otherwise sacrificing some of the pests that we generate from Sedgemoor Witch. So these two cards are great for synergy, but in order to help us also maintain stability, we'll have copies of Vampire's Kiss, which is actually a pretty cute little card here. Being able to drain our opponent for 2, gaining us 2 life, and creating 2 blood tokens also is beneficial not only in generating more creature tokens, but also goes well synergistically with Deadly Dispute. For our controlled options out there, we will be utilizing our set of Duress and Agonizing Remorse. Both of these cards together just strip our opponent's hand of their most important cards and allow us to maintain a much better control, especially since we honestly don't have that many creatures to work with. As far as your other creatures that we'll have, besides the Nightclubber, which is a really sweet card to destroy token decks, especially because that Blitz ability can also be helpful just to get in some quick damage and also help us draw into another card to replace itself. And finally, 2 copies of Dread Presence. I think a lot of people actually forgot this card actually exists, but because we are all a mono black deck and we have nothing but 23 swamps, it should be easy to ping this off, so we can draw cards that we need to, or you're most likely going to use its secondary ability, being able to do 2 damage to any target and help gain us life. So with this all together, as we are slowly making sure that we have the board under our control, once you get to the Spider Queen, or the Dreadhorde General, we actually have pretty 2 cool other just synergies that we can utilize. If you haven't already can tell, Sedgemoor Witch is going to create a lot of pests, but besides just constantly throwing them at our opponent or using them for sack fodder, if you have out a Spider Queen and say you try to have your opponent just start taking out stuff, then what ends up happening is you can then ultimate this extremely quickly and help close out the game. Or if you have Liliana Dreadhorde General, if you have your pests dying, you can then draw a ton of cards, which will get us to that Spider Queen in the first place. Now, the only other way to get to victory besides these, because obviously, as I just mentioned, these are going to take a while to build up to, your other final option for a closer will be Bastion of Remembrance. We have 2 copies in the deck, so with the tokens, we can go a lot more aggro if we have this card out, and forcing our opponent to block them. Either they take the damage, or we start draining them out very quickly. But otherwise, that's mostly the game plan for you. Not to anything too fancy here, but it is a cute, simple option for you to play. I forgot to mention also, one of your lands besides the 23 swamps is 1 copy of Hive of the Eye Tyrant. This is basically your main deck graveyard hate, and also if they keep blowing up everything on the board, this will help us hopefully close out the game, especially with decks that have light creatures in them. As far as the sideboard plan is concerned, we're going to have a little bit of everything. We'll have a slightly transformative style depending on what your opponent is trying to fight us with. So against go wide strategies, you have Trespasser's Curse to drain them out when they try to go wide, especially against those token packages that they fight us with. For any kind of creature decks that we have to deal with that we can't destroy the creatures, such as indestructible stuff, you have a copy of Withered Crown. A full playset of Yarok's Fenlurker. This is going to help you just strip their hand, puts a creature on the field, and also with the extra mana that we can sit on, we can pump it up to do a little extra damage. To go with your discard plan, we have 2 copies of Davriel Rogue Shadow Mage, and also if they strip their hand completely, can just slowly drain them out. A single copy of Eldest Reborn to hopefully snipe something out of the graveyard if they discard a Planeswalker ideally, and it'd be really sweet to just throw that against them. 3 copies of Feed the Swarm, which is just going to help you with more creature removal, but mostly you want to use it for enchantment removal. A copy of Underworld Dreams against some of the draw-heavy decks. And then for additional graveyard hit, you have 2 copies of Ashiok Dream Render, and also it shuts down our opponent's ability to search their library for cards. But otherwise, there you go. That is basically it. But rather than me constantly talk about the deck, let's play one more match to show you how we can also get to victory. Okay, in our next game here, we're going to look at what we have, which is 2 Dread Presence, Sedgemoor Witch, Vampire's Kiss, and an Agonizing Remorse with 2 lands. We'll keep this, and again, we're going to hope that we can get to our other lands so we can have the Sedgemoor Witch go off. Alright, so we're going to have a Swamp come down. And then our opponent is Temple of Silence. Alright, we got some Scry lands. We got some removal, which is nice. Let's take a peeky peek at our opponent. What are they trying to do? Agonizing Remorse. Oh, okay. Well, get away their Thrilling Discovery. We can't draw anything out. That 9 lives is going to be very annoying to deal with, but I think we can still try to get through it. They Foretell. That's probably that Doomscar we just avoided right now. So, let's Vampire's Kiss. Get some blood tokens. Since they don't have creatures, we can then sack some stuff here. 9 lives. We will then get rid of our blood token, get rid of the Heartless Act. Okay, swamp. That's not bad. Alright, so swamp down. Dread Presence. Opponent. Remember, if a source would deal damage to you, prevent that damage and put it... Okay, Of a source. So we can ping our opponent to try to speed this up. They Doomscar, which is okay. That's perfectly fine. Because here's what we're going to try to do. We need to Agonizing Remorse. Let's see what else they have. Where do we have the Cathartic Reunion? I feel like they're going to try to do a little combo here, which I don't want them to do. We can still drain out our opponent, which is nice. So that means that doesn't affect the 9 lives. Aww. Well, this is going to be kind of boring to do with everybody. All right, let's see if we can speed this up real quick and see if we can try to actually beat our opponent here. Oh, here we go. Here we go. This is what we were waiting for. Okay, Liliana. So, let's see. Create a token. No attacks, of course, because it doesn't do anything with it. Double everything. So, Luminous Broodmoth. That's cute. Okay, so how do we do this? Let's sack 2 pests. We get rid of their creature. We gain some life. We draw some cards. Alright, not too bad. We'll draw another card. We lose a little life. Not a big deal for us. We can turn on Hive of the Eye Tyrant. Ah! We still got through their 9 lives. So there you go, everybody. Oh my god. Okay, back that up. Let's back that up again. Okay, look at the footage. So this is basically what happened. So the reason why we won, if you're trying to figure out like how did our opponent give up, our opponent had 9 lives and Solemnity stacked. Liliana Dreadhorde General actually here would, if we can ultimate it, would force them to lose at least some of their stuff. Even though they would still be able to hold on to at least one of these cards, they would lose basically everything else. But that would give us an advantage of just poking them until they die. The other main reason why I'm sure they gave up on us is we also had a Hive of the Eye Tyrant here. This Hive of the Eye Tyrant would have started exiling creatures and all that stuff from their graveyard. And I have assurance that based on the cards that they had, such as Command the Dreadhorde and Luminous Broodmoth, they were going to try to do some reanimation stuff, reanimation shenanigans that would have screwed us over. But we got there. We still got there, everybody. Beautiful. Well, I hope you got to enjoy that last match, but real quick, let's talk about some of the weaknesses to the deck if you are interested in this. Basically, I want to just go over real quick just to acknowledge that this deck is, of course, budget, so you are going to have some things that you just can't do in the current version of it, which is mostly you are completely weak to spot removal in this deck. We don't have that many creatures to work with, and if you cannot get your Sedgemoor Witch to go off and go wide, and they get picked off early, there's no way for us to record in the main deck. We really don't have anything to work with, but that's of course why you have a sideboard to use. And again, same thing also if you're trying to go and beat your opponent, you only have so much spot removal in this deck. The biggest weakness, as you saw, is we don't have Wraths at all. So if you can try to get at least a couple of them into your sideboard for an upgrade option, I would highly recommend that. But otherwise, if you enjoy playing control decks and say like you want to try something else besides mono black, check out the other link I have right here. And from what you can see above, I actually made also last year an Azorius control deck also on a budget if you're that kind of person. All right, hope you get a chance to enjoy this. Okay, are the other normies gone? Okay, for those of you that are hanging around right now at the end of this video, once again, shout out to all of you. You are my true fiery friends. And for that, stick around for just a second because you know what's going to happen. We're going to show you the secret way to upgrade this deck and make it super cool and super awesome. If you do like the videos of anything I show here, you know what to do. Please make sure to give a like on the video, hit subscribe to the channel to see everything, and so that way you don't miss out on things such as my booster pack openings, deck techs, and more. So the upgrades we're going to be utilizing are actually going to be quite a bit of a change here from the original deck. So real quick, most of what we're upgrading is just going to give us a little bit more consistency. So you kind of notice we'll take out the Agonizing Remorse. We're going to put in Priest of the Forgotten Gods. We're going to take out our Duress and we'll put in a set of Thoughtseize. We're now going to switch out a couple of other cards and add in now Malak Rebirth, which can now allow us to rebalance our land base since these can come in as tapped lands. But the main reason we want these is just to bring back whatever can get blown blown up onto the battlefield, such as our Centaur Witch or that Priest, to ensure that we can still maintain some creatures on the battlefield and still keep our game plan going. Other removal that we'll be swapping out is, instead of Heartless Act, we'll now put in March of the Wretched Sorrow, which gives us a lot more flexibility and also give us some life gain, since several of our cards in the deck do drain us quite a bit. As far as other things, we're actually going to swap out our entire sideboard, and we're going to now make it a toolbox style. So we'll have a full playset of Mastermind's Acquisition as our end curve card. And then into the sideboard we go. We have one copy of basically everything that can help us just try to figure out what our opponent's trying to do and try to finish off our opponent with something from the side. So we'll be adding back in the Liliana Dreadhorde General and our Low Spider Queen. They're just basically in the sideboard now. You just can pull them out. And then other cards that you can add in. Again, some of these cards I've kind of just threw in just to give you a sample of what's going on. So just copies of Professor Onyx if you want to go off with using its Magecraft ability. Eldest Reborn is going to be located in here as well still. You'll have Terragrid, God of Fright, which can punish our opponents that are trying to do more sack stuff. We have a copy of Dramatic Finale, which can pump up all of our tokens if we need to go wide and go stronger. Some different types of Wraths in Language and Ritual Soot. We'll keep one copy still of Ashok Dreamrender as some additional graveyard hate. A Tormod's Crypt, since it's free and we can pull that in if we really need to get something off the field. Feed the Swarm, just a single copy now. An Elder Spell if we are dealing with Super Friends decks, i.e. Planeswalker decks. Keep the Trespasser's Curse if you want to, and the Wither Crown. Again, these are just good flex options against certain types of creatures that we just can't deal with in the main deck. Going over real quick the sideboard, we're going to drop a couple of swamps. We'll add another copy of Hive of the Eye Tyrant. We'll add now a Castle Lockwain for more consistent card draw. And we'll have one single copy of Cabal Stronghold. We actually don't have that many swamps, but it still doesn't hurt to have it because you never know when you might actually be able to pump up a ton of mana and then go off with a couple of additional spells in the deck. But there you go, everybody. I really hope you had a chance to go through the whole video and enjoy all the stuff that we put into it. I actually am really enjoying this new format that I've created for myself, and I really think that it's possibly the better, more enjoyable, preferable way to make these deck techs. Let me know in the comments below what you think overall. Did we actually even think that it was possible for us to even make a budget control deck in a single color on Arena? I actually didn't think so, but we just proved it today. So give this chat a try if you are interested in control and you just want to start at Arena on a cheap budget instead of having to pay, oh, I don't know, 50 rares sometimes for some of these control decks. Good lord, that's insane for this. But otherwise, if you are interested in this, one more time, check out the other one that I mentioned earlier in the video, my Azorius control deck from last year. And either way, with whether you play this one or last year's deck, you'll not be disappointed. But aside from that, thanks again for watching, everyone. And just remember that no matter what you do play in the game of life, always be sure to burn bright. Later.